Namaste and welcome back. So here we are breaking down Suryanamaskar B for our students that may not be able to bring their head below their heart. So we really want to adapt this practice to make it accessible for everybody. So with that said, if you don't have a chair or a wall nearby, but you do have a student that needs a little bit more attention, then let's go ahead and adapt this practice for you. So let's begin again at the top of the mat, and you do want to have your block nearby, or maybe encourage the students, if blocks are not accessible, to really imagine they're squeezing a block or squeezing something between the thighs, like a foamy ball or a stress ball, and they're just squeezing between the thighs here, and then bringing everything into one line. Let them look down at their feet, and this is probably where they'll stay, right? And just allow them to be in this space. And then bend the knees, scoop the earth, and maybe for them, hands here or hands here, meaning hands at their thighs or hands at their shoulders, maybe lifting the elbows, and then just bringing attention to their belly. And so I'm going to turn to the side view here, so when you can see, you really want to encourage your students, when they're breathing, to contract the lower abdominals and visualize that each exhale is like they're lacing a corset. And imagine how the muscles are becoming more strong in your back body. So this is a sweet ad for your student. Or they can hug themselves. So you can reach for opposite elbows and cross the elbows. You want them to draw their knees back and stay lifted. So as the other students, your student is going to maybe lean forward to about 45 degrees and then come back. The variation of this would be for your student to come out with the arms forward as a strengthening tool and come back up. Your third variation of the same expression is to utilize the block between the palms and encourage your student to keep the arms straight, their tummy muscles to fire up as they come forward and lift themselves back up. And you'll be surprised, students that are able to come all the way down in forward fold might actually choose to do this variation because it is a tummy toner. And then there, at that point, your student who would naturally go into a traditional lunge will take their blocks and step their right foot back and then take the right knee down. Your gaze is lifted. You want to ensure knee-ankle alignment here, so proper alignment so you're not impinging on anything. And then keep your gaze lifted. Scoop the pubic bone under, and your student has the opportunity to explore taking the hands to the thighs and drawing into an isometric movement, or taking the arms up. This is fine. Keep in mind that your student also, if they have any knee limitations or sensitivity, can fold their mat or can use a blanket and place it under the knee, okay? So those are some options. And then from this space, we're going to bring the hands down, and your student can then choose if they want to play with the plank pose, and they might simply just take their knee back and look forward. And this is plank, and this is fine. They will then come to seated position if it's okay for their knees, or take a block under their tush as your students transition through Chaturanga Dandasana, or your student is welcome to explore Cobra pose by coming from their plank, lowering down to the earth in one line, keeping their head in alignment with their torso, and lifting up now, looking towards the sky in the Cobra pose. They have the option to utilize the blocks to sustain, or they can remove the blocks and place their forearms on the ground, coming into Sphinx pose. And just discover what works best for you here in this particular variation. Now, you also want to keep in mind that the thighs are going to be active, so the knees are lifting up and off the ground, and you're pressing actively into the tops of your feet. You're energetically reaching through your chest as you roll the shoulders away from the ears, and maybe even snuggle them towards one another. Now, from here, your student will transition into either a supported seat, or again, if they feel comfortable coming into a variation of standing or even puppy pose. Puppy pose could be a little challenging for them if they're bringing the head down below the heart. However, since we're already down closer towards the ground, this transition is simply taking the hips back and then letting your head come forward. If they're comfortable about here, this is a nice place to be, okay? This is also a nice place to give a block and rest the forehead and stay here. So this is a nice option, okay? The other option is to come completely down on the chest for your student and allow the heart to open and let your student melt in this space. Now from here, this same student will keep their head above their heart, walking their way back, coming down onto their feet, and this is a nice way to encourage some strengthening in the feet and in the legs, or they'll simply just make their way up to standing, reach the arms up, and exhale, bring the hands down by your sides. Bend the knees, scoop the earth, coming into chair where your students will meet their friends. And ultimately, we all end in Tadasana.